If you've ever been called weird because you talk to yourself, lose focus in conversations. Or keep your desk looking like a creative tornado just passed through, you're not alone, and you're definitely not broken. In fact, science says those odd little habits could be signs that your brain is running at a higher cognitive level than most. Intelligence doesn't always show up in polished perfection. Sometimes it looks like chaos, curiosity, and quirks that no one else quite understands. Let's dive into the strange but fascinating daily habits that may be secretly revealing your genius. First, let's talk about doodling. You're in a meeting, a lecture, or maybe just on a phone call, and before you know it, your page is full of spirals, stick figures, and abstract shapes. While it may seem like your mind is wandering, studies show that doodling actually keeps your brain engaged. It helps filter distractions and allows your working memory to absorb key information more effectively. In fact, research found that people who doodled while listening to boring material remembered almost 30% more information than those who didn't. So, what looks like zoning out may actually be a sign of high-level processing. Next up is daydreaming, the habit everyone assumes is a sign of being unfocused or lazy. But neuroscientists have discovered that frequent daydreamers often have more active default mode networks, the part of the brain associated with creativity, introspection, and problem solving. In short, when your mind drifts, it's not shutting off, it's tuning into complex thought in the background. You might be imagining a fantasy world, a solution to a real-life problem, or running simulations of possibilities, all without realizing it. That spacey look in your eyes, it's your brain quietly working overtime. Another trait linked to intelligence is structured procrastination. You know that moment when you've got a deadline looming, but instead of starting the task, you clean your room, reorganize your files, or suddenly need to learn how to make homemade hummus. That's not just avoidance, it's your brain preparing. Structured procrastinators often subconsciously incubate ideas while doing unrelated tasks. And when crunch time hits, they can execute with intense focus and creativity. Studies suggest that people who procrastinate but still deliver tend to have stronger problem-solving skills and more flexible thinking. Speaking of flexibility, people with high intelligence often crave stimulation in odd ways, like needing background noise all the time. Whether it's music, TV reruns, or ambient sounds, many high-functioning individuals find total silence to be overwhelming. That's because their brains are so active. Silence feels like a vacuum. Moderate background noise, on the other hand, can help maintain focus and even stimulate creative thinking. It acts like a filter, helping the brain ignore irrelevant inputs and stay in the zone. That's why some of the smartest people you know might always have earbuds in or a YouTube video playing in the background. Then there's the classic talking to yourself. Not just muttering a to-do list, but having full conversations, debating with yourself, rehearsing scenarios, even giving pep talks aloud. This habit is a psychological tool called external self-regulation. It helps organize thoughts, improve memory, and manage emotions. People who talk to themselves often show better decision-making, faster problem-solving, and reduced anxiety in high-pressure situations. When Einstein said he needed to speak his thoughts aloud to think, he wasn't joking, he was just ahead of his time. Next is overthinking, the bane of every anxious person's existence, but also a surprising marker of intelligence. People with high IQs tend to analyze deeply. They replay conversations, question decisions, and evaluate endless possibilities. This can be exhausting, yes, but it's also linked to enhanced verbal intelligence, pattern recognition, and foresight. Overthinkers often make better strategists and creatives because their minds are always scanning for meaning and connection. The key is not stopping the overthinking, but learning to manage it so it doesn't turn into paralysis. Now let's talk about messiness. The stereotype is that smart people are neat and organized, but studies show the opposite might be true. People who work in cluttered environments tend to produce more original ideas and perform better on creative tasks. A messy desk might not look impressive, but it can be a sign of an open, curious mind that resists conformity. Einstein's workspace was famously chaotic. Steve Jobs was known for controlled disorder. For some, creativity thrives in chaos, and that chaos is where genius lives. Another trait that often gets misunderstood is being a night owl. If your best thinking happens after midnight and you feel most alert when the world is quiet, it's not just bad sleep hygiene, it could be how your brain is wired. Research has shown that people who stay up late tend to score higher on intelligence tests related to verbal reasoning and abstract thinking. Night owls often use the late hours for deep work, uninterrupted thought, and introspective breakthroughs. While society loves early birds, some of the most brilliant minds operate on genius hours. If you find yourself agonizing over a word choice in an email or adjusting the spacing on a design element, no one else even noticed. Congratulations, you might be displaying cognitive persistence. This is the ability to zoom in on microelements until they feel right, a skill linked to high IQ individuals in analytical, creative, and technical fields. It's not just being picky, it's your brain refusing to settle until it sees order. And finally, let's revisit self-talk, but with a twist, talking to yourself in third person. Saying things like, "You've got this," or calling yourself by name before a big moment might sound strange, but it creates a psychological buffer that improves emotional regulation. By treating yourself as someone you care about, rather than berating yourself internally, you make better choices under stress. Athletes, public speakers, and CEOs often use this trick to stay calm under pressure. So if you're in the mirror giving yourself a motivational speech like a coach, you're not weird, you're practicing emotional intelligence. So what do all these behaviors have in common? They're misunderstood. Society often labels them as eccentric, inefficient, or even annoying. But in reality, they're the secret signals of a brain that's operating with depth, complexity, and creativity. Intelligence isn't always obvious, doesn't always look like academic trophies or fancy degrees. Sometimes it looks like scattered notebooks, internal monologues, missed bedtimes, and a cluttered room full of post-it notes and ideas. If you saw yourself in any of these habits, here's your permission to stop feeling guilty about them. Embrace your quirks. They might be the signs that your mind is capable of seeing what others miss, connecting dots no one else would, and solving problems from angles most people can't even imagine. And while these habits don't guarantee genius, they do hint at something powerful happening beneath the surface, a brain that isn't just smart, but beautifully different. So go ahead, doodle in meetings, daydream during lunch, or clean your room at 2 a.m. You're not weird. You're just thinking in ways the average brain can't catch up to. If you relate to this, hit that subscribe button because there are even more habits, traits, and little-known signals of intelligence that most people overlook, but we're going to uncover them, one strange quirk at a time. Until then, stay curious, stay thoughtful, and never stop asking why.